Okay, now we're back to our create a markup language document learner guide. So we went through the activity, the practical activity, which is all that, set up web development. So we did all that, the practical activity, which we completed. We talked about 001 Introduction to HTML Doc. Summary question, what is a site? A site is a web page. It's part of a folder. Yes, it's a folder as well. But a site is a folder to hold all your web pages, assets, and other configuration settings. So what is a site? A folder to hold all your web pages, assets, and other configuration settings. So answer is C. So that's just a little quick review. Summary question. Okay, theory. Element 1, analyze specification and requirements. What are requirements and specifications? Well, what are requirements? Requirements is what is needed from perhaps a client or a user. So a requirement is a single statement of something a product or a system must do. Does the client's request meet all users' need? Example, number of users resumes converted into a landing page. That's an example of a requirement. So firstly, we identify the need. What's the need? What are specifications? Specifications is more detailed information about a product or a service. So we can be more specific by asking, how can we meet the need? By breaking down the need into more elaborate requirement business need. So we ask more specific questions like what, how, etc. We break down the need into more specific needs, or how are you going to do that? Or how are you going to meet the need? Then we specify how. How can we meet the need? Sometimes the requirements and specifications are put into two separate documents for each phase of the development design process, or in one document. But in this course, when we refer to the requirements documents, we will infer that the specifications are also included in the document. What is analysis? A detailed explanation of the elemental structure of something. The breakdown into parts to learn what they do and how they relate to one another. Analysis of the how to come up with a solution. So how do we determine requirements and specifications? To determine requirements, we ask questions, analyze what is needed, then we see how these requirements can be met, by what products or service can be sourced or created to meet the requirements according to specifications. The notion of requirements and specifications are taken from a modeling technique of what is called systems analysis and design. So you have your traditional systems analysis and design, or software development lifecycle model, or you have what today they call agile modeling technique. So the first phase is plan, design, develop, test. 5 is deploy, review, and then go back to stage 2, which is design, and repeat all the completed steps. And then number 8, once it's all been refined and everything, you launch it. But we'll go into that into a little bit more detail. And systems analysis and design, the traditional systems analysis design is requirements. So you do the requirements, gather all the what is needed, analyze how it can, the need can be met, design it, come up with a solution, start coding, and then test what you've done, implement, deploy, and then maintenance, maintain. You might maintain the website, so you might design it initially. Then a year later, the client might want to change it, so that's part of maintaining. And then requirements, you go back to requirements, analyze, design, code, test, and implement. Then you go back, and that's why it's called a cycle, software development life cycle. So you're developing something. It could be anything. It could be a product, a house. A house follows a life cycle. You got plan, build, like the client might be the requirements. Analyze how it can be put together. Design might be the draft person that designs it together. A builder might be the coding person. Testing might be the QBA, quality building authority, might inspect it, and you might test it. You might test whether the taps run, whether the gas works. So that might be implement and deploy. And then once the person's lived in the house and over say 20 years, things don't work and maintenance need to be applied to the house, like maybe repainted after 20 years. Or you might do a renovation, so you might start off the life cycle again. So that's systems analysis and design. That type of model could be applied to anything. So any sort of model could be applied to anything just on the way you look at it. So we just had a look at Agile and systems analysis and design life cycle. So when working on the project, you'll have a client brief. And a client brief outlines what is required or what needs to be developed. So this is a sample client brief that we're going to use in our project. So for this unit's project, this is the sample client brief. And the sample client brief by itself can be found in this unit's create web page documents docs folder, and you'll see 000 client brief. So if you double click that, open that up, you'll see the client brief, and that's what you might be presented, a client brief. So client brief, a person has come to websites, us publishing house, and wants a number of users' resumes converted into a landing page. The web page is to use pure HTML and no CSS tags and utilize tables. The web page is to incorporate web components such as the following: copyright notice, appropriate headings, a banner, image to utilize user's industry field, a headshot of the person perhaps. So the main purpose is a company, Websites Are Us, is to publish a publishing house or a web page publishing house wants a number of resumes converted into landing pages. So you have a headshot of the person, icons that denote sections. So each section's got to have an icon. So like education, skills, employment, and hobbies. A short video recording of the career objective. So you need to incorporate a video into the web page. A skills table and rating, and some sort of internal external links, and some section headings which will be provided based on the resume supplied. Client must submit resume to Websites Are Us. Note, see Shannon So resume found in doc folder. So in the doc folder, there's a folder called Shannon So website CV, and inside that CV is the resume, and there's the video and the images that you can use for the different sections. But as we go along creating the web page, we will actually go through and how to create the web page. But for the first part, we're looking at the client brief. Amendment, a solid background color to be used, and a contact form. And a banner image. So you need a background color for the web page and a contact form. Note, provide all supporting documentation that follows the agile process. So you, as part of the assessment, are to support, create supporting documentation like a requirements document, the client brief. So at the end, when you submit all your work, you also need to submit this client brief. So that's why I've provided it for you. So this is all supporting documentation according to agile process. So that's the client brief, which is a little sample here. And the following is a sample requirements document from a client brief. So this is the requirements document, and this is what a sample requirements document looks like after interpreting the client brief. So we've got the client brief, the client has given us the brief, and now we need to create a requirements document, which is part of supplying all documentation as part of the agile development of a web page. So it's our client brief, and this is a sample requirements document that you also need to submit. So we have the scope, background information. So I suppose the background information is a person has come to Websites R Us publishing house and wants a number of users' resumes converted into a landing page. So the background information, or the scope, and then the purpose. The purpose is to be an online resume page that is to be converted from a Word document to a HTML page. That's the purpose. Use, to demonstrate a person's background history in relation to work, skills, and achievements. Because that's what basically a resume is. To demonstrate a person's background history in relation to work, skills, and achievements. It doesn't say that in the client brief, but you have to interpret that of what the use is for. Specifications, what needs to be in the web page, basically. So we've defined the purpose and use, and then we need to break it down into smaller parts. And as it's stated, the web page is to incorporate the following web components, and these are the following web components. And it has to be in pure HTML, no CSS, and it's got to utilize tables. So that's further specifying what needs to be done. And as part of the requirements, there's website structure, and you might provide a sketch. It's a single page landing page. You might need a page description. Design must follow a resume content and structure. You might need a contract or sign-off section, statement of work and costs with contractual statement, like the requirements document and the interview will cost $185. Due date and completion, and a criteria checklist to ensure that you meet all the user requirements and the user agrees once you meet with the client for them to check off that you have met all the requirements. So that's a criteria checklist or quality assurance. What is W3C? Just about on terminology, the World Wide Web Consortium is an international community where member organizations, a full-time staff, and the public work together to develop web standards such as HTML or hypertext meta-language syntax. Activity. So the first activity, create your own empty requirements document template in Word and save the file as requirements document template. And now we have a little sample of our requirements document template. And activity 2, fill in a requirements document based on your own resume, ensuring you will meet the requirements of the website RS criteria. Include sketches and requirements criteria checklist. Save file as create requirements document. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is create our template and then filled in template. And that's a sample of what we need to create. Okay, we need to create two things. So the first thing is 1.0.1, and then after that we do 1.0, 1.2. And we need to use Word. So we need to create a requirements document template. So we might actually just start Word first. So if we go run winword.exe, and we might create a blank document. And what is our document called? Requirements document template. That's what we need to call it. So we might copy that, and we might actually put that up there. Just delete that for now. It's our title. And then we might save our page, put the ribbon on, file, save as. We might go browse, and we might go desktop. We might create a new folder. Create a new folder. And we might call it work underscore. So we'll save all our work there. And name it requirement document template, and then click save. And let's have a look at our Word document, our learner guide. So from our sample requirements document, we have different sections. We have scope, purpose, use, specifications, website structure, landing page. So I might just adjust this, make it a bit smaller, and just start writing these headings in actually. So that's our home page. And I might resize this first and just write all the titles in first. So we got scope. Don't need to put the numbers in yet. Scope, purpose, use, and we might put scope actually background information. Purpose, use, specifications, website structure, single page landing page, and structure. Then we have, and then I might just put, that's not a heading, this is just a note, sketch, identify, components. So later on, when we learn about what is identifying components, could have just copied that actually. Identifying components, page description. So we need to insert an image in here later and label it. Page description. design of pages. Structure. Contract sign-off. Statement of work and cost. Contract statement. Due date. And completion. And one final thing, appendix. Criteria checklist, which we will fill in later. So we'll save at this point. And we just need to make it as a template. So from our example, purpose to actually, we might leave that to last. Okay, now we want to make headings. We want to put numbers in them actually. So if I open up Word a bit bigger and I have my toolbar, and this is our headings. So the first section is heading 1. So heading 1. And then if we go to bullets, no, we don't want bullets. Numbering, no, we don't want numbering. We want multi-level list. And if we click multi-level list, we want to create a list based on our headings. So we have headings, there you go. So that's heading 1. And we want heading 2. So we go heading 2 is our purpose. Use. So we could just, because that's already highlighted, we hit the format painter. And then we go over use. And use becomes 1.2. And then specifications. We want specifications to be heading 1. So we format painter, specifications, heading 2, website structure. We want heading 1. And inside heading 1 we got single page landing page. We want that to be heading 2. And we might just make that follow. It's better. Page description, we want heading 1. Page description. Design of structure, page description. We want that heading 1. Page descriptions, design of pages. I will make that heading 1 as well. And contract, heading 1, statement of contract and cost, another heading 1, contract statement, heading 1, due date and completion, heading 1 as well. And appendix, we might press enter. Heading 1, and then criteria checklist might be heading 2. There might be a subsection, so that's heading 2. So that's our requirements document template. So we go save. We might go, I might as well, project name. What else? Project name, table of contents. And we might set up our page layout, page setup, margins 1.5, top, bottom 1.5, paper is A4, layout, different first page. Okay, so this is our first page, this is our second page. So project name, client name. So we might put that in the middle of the page. Project name, client name, and then we might press enter and force it on, control enter and force this onto the next page. But before we do that, we might press control enter again, and this time we're going to go insert, page layout. Where am I looking for? I'm looking for reference, table of contents, table of contents. Now the table of contents is created automatically based on, if I can go down the page, based on these headings here. At the moment they're all on the same page, but as you fill it in it will get bigger. Okay, save the page just to be safe, and we want to insert page numbers. So requirements document, I might make that there, make that in the center, project name. We might add, if I just double click at the bottom here, page numbers. So if we go insert, page number, bottom page, and we want page X of Y, page X of, there you go, we got our page numbers. So just double click here to get it out of header and footer, and now we have page numbers. Save and scroll down the page. Okay, we're back to here. Now we might just put a little description next to each of them. So purpose is Oops, Control Z, enter, backspace. Purpose is 2, and we want to make that text null text. 2, enter. We might press Control Enter. Scope, yes. 2, yes, excellent. To do something. Specifications. We want the to use to demonstrate DEMONSTR demonstrate a person's background information or background history. Background history in relation to work, skills, and achievements. To demonstrate. So it's just our little template. Okay, we created our template. Requirements document template. So we can save this. So we've done activity 1. 1.0.1. Now activity 1.02. Okay, what does that say? Fill in the requirements document based on your own resume, ensuring that you meet all the requirements of the website RS criteria. Include sketches and requirements criteria checklist. Save file as requirements document. Sample answer. And there's our sample answer. Page description. Due date. Appendix criteria checklist. Okay. So I'm just gonna put that on one side. Now, if we go to our desktop and we create a folder called work, desktop, and we create a folder called work, and there's our requirements document template. Now, if we double click that to open it, there's our requirements document template. Now, if we go back to our learner guide, it tells us the name of the file that we need to save it. Requirements document. That's what we need to save it as. So if we go File, Save As, and if we go Browse, and we go Desktop, Work, and the name of it, we want Requirements Document. Save. And now we can get rid of Requirements Document. We can get rid of template actually. So it's just Requirements Document. Project name or client name. Let's see in our client brief. Client brief doesn't have that project name. So if we have a look at the client brief, actually, it doesn't say who's it for or the person's name. So our client must submit resume to websites are us. Project name. You can make the project name up. Client name. So the client name is, if we have a look at the project folder, doc, Shannon So website CV. So the person's name is Shannon So Resume. Maybe the project name is Convert Resume into landing page. Client's name is Shannon So. And the company that we are working for is Websites Are Us. So the company name that we are working for is a person has come to Website Are Us Publishing House. So we might put that there. Websites Are Us Publishing House. Requirements document. Anyway, project name, we might make the project name bold. Client name bold. So table of contents, we don't touch that. Press Ctrl S to save. Now this is where we start filling in most of our content. So we'll have to go back and forwards from our client brief and our requirements document. Purpose is to be an online resume page which is to be converted to a Word document to an HTML page. Use. The use is to demonstrate a person's background history. Specifications. So one specification is the web page is to be a pure HTML, no CSS tags, and utilize tables. So where do we get that from? So we got that from, I need to shrink this. There you go, that's our client brief. I'll make both of them smaller. Oh, that's better. Specifications. The web page is to be in pure HTML. So the web page is to be in pure HTML, no CSS tags, and utilize tables. The web page is to also incorporate web components such as the following. So the web page is to incorporate web components such as the following. So that's more information for our specifications. And I think somewhere we also want what do we want? We also want, so we have a look at our actual client brief in docs folder, client brief. A solid background color to be used and a contact form. So we also need to add a solid background color and a contact form. That's in specifications also. So I might just put that on the end. And a contact form. Now I've added those checklists in there, because when we create our criteria, this is our criteria checklist. So how do I insert these checkboxes? Test. So if I take that out, and if I go insert, symbol, more symbols, currency symbols, no, we want, I think it's Windings, let's have a look at W, Windings, and then if we scroll down, Windings, there's no checkboxes. Where's that Windings? And there we go, there's our checkboxes. So if you click that, it will insert it. And if you want a tick for later, there's the tick and the X mark. So we go Windings, and we want to look for our checkbox. It's that one. And then you go insert, and it inserts it. So that's how we get our checkboxes. Okay, we might make that size 12, Arial, calibrate, doesn't matter, I'll leave that as is. Website structure, so I might cheat and have a look at the resume. So resume, so that's our resume, and we want our resume to look like something like that. So if I minimize that to get the whole page and get a screenshot, or use a snipping tool, SNIP snipping tool, create a little snippet, draw a rectangle, copy that, Control C, or edit, copy, go back to our Word document, our requirements document, single page web structure, and I might put a copy of the page in there, so I can close snipping tool. No, so that's my little website structure. Page description, page description. What am I going to say about page description? From our resume, we might say it has a person's name, the web page is to follow the user's sample resume. Style, which includes some of the following, which is the following is, actually I might make this picture bigger so you can see it a bit more. It has, what does it have? An image, a photo, person's name, contact details, description or career description, skills, education, work, design of page structure. This time we haven't really gone through design structure. Contract sign-off, statement of work and costs, contract statement, due date and completion, appendix and criteria checklist. We might just leave design of pages structure because we'll come back to it, and the contract sign-off and the statement of work cost. It doesn't state it in the client brief, but I would say statement of work and costs. 1 week. Cost $5.95. PRIM. So preliminary investigation, we interview the client and everything. Cost of the website, $5.95 during 1 week time. Contract statement, I'll do that later. Due date, 1 week time. You can specify the due date. Appendix and criteria checklist. The website is to incorporate the following. Based on client resume. So what does the client want? This is basically what the client wants. Criteria checklist. Insert table. So we want the criteria. Yes, no, non-applicable. And we might do it for a whole bunch of items. And how many items do we have actually? So how many items do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We'll just say 15 just to make it safe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Insert a new row. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and just make one more. And now we want to make these smaller. And we want to put perhaps yes, no, and NA, which is not applicable. Now what else do we have? Time's almost up in an hour, so not applicable, no, and yes. Okay, and we've copied the stuff from before, and now if we highlight it and paste it in, there we go. Now we see duplicates, the web page. So we could probably cut that out because that's just a repeat. And take that out. And just insert right above because we got one too many. Website criteria. Checklist. CHEs. Checklist. And yes, it's correct. Make it bold. And we actually might just move that up there. Center that. Center. Make that bold. And insert some symbols. Insert symbol. More symbols. W. Windings. Windings. Always get that mixed up. Where are we? Where's our boxes? Insert. Close. And then, oops, we insert that. Home. Center. And now we just copy that in each of them. And center all those. And then copy each of them. And then just fill it at the bottom. And that will do for our criteria checklist at this point. So create a little criteria checklist. Due date, put it in, fill some information in, most of it. We have a table of contents, so we just need to save it. It's not everything, but it's something that we'll leave for now, but it's enough for the task at hand that is just required. So we'll come back to this later on because we need to do some more work and fill in the rest of it. We just need to update the table actually, because it's almost an hour. So if we right click our table of contents, update field, update entire table, there you go, our page numbers have changed according to each section. Okay, very good and well done. So we done activity. Okay, so we might just close that, and don't forget it's in our desktop under work. So we have the requirements document and a requirements document template. So we can tick off those two things in our assessment project. And that was the sample. Okay, question time. Might as well just do the questions. What are requirements? Requirements is what is needed from perhaps a client or user. So the answer is question A. Question. Element 1.0.2. What are specifications? Specifications express how to achieve a requirement. The specifications provide the solution to the problem and need. So the answer is B. And is there anything else? Question 3. What is analysis? Analysis is a detailed explanation of the elements or structure of something. The breakdown into parts to learn what they do and how they relate to one another. So that was section element 1.0. What are analyze requirements and specifications. So that's it for this section. The next topic is 1.1. We'll go on to that next. Okay.